2.
So I'm going to be talking about the transverse and rectus abdominis. Starting off with the transverse abdominis, it's the deepest muscle of all your abdominal muscles, which include the internal and external obliques and the rectus abdominis. The transverse abdominis wraps around your spine and it provides protection and stability, and it also compresses all the abdominal muscles. It's also responsible for flexing and rotating the trunk of your spine. And the origin of the transverse abdominis is the latissimus dorsi, which are the muscles in your lower back, which are inferior to your scapula, your shoulder blades. The iliac crest, which is the most lateral part of your pelvis, which are also known as your hip bones. And the linea alta, which is the midline that basically runs through your sternum and down the center of your chest and stomach. The insertion is, the insertion is the linea alba, and the pubic crest, which is the most distal part of your pelvis. Some target exercises that you could do to train the transverse abdominis are the dumbbell Romanian deadlifts, the medicine ball leg raises, and hanging leg raises. I'm going to be showing you how to do the medicine ball leg raises. And what you want to do is just sit down on the ground or on a yoga mat, and you want to keep your shoulder blades right above the ground and your knees together and heels together, just slightly above the ground. And you're just going to be trading the medicine ball in between your legs and your hands. You have to bring them up. And while you're doing this, your transverse abdominis will be isometrically contracting, which means it stays the same length, but at the same time it will also be concentrically contracting, which because the muscle will also get smaller when you lift your arms and legs to trade the ball. That concentrically contracts the transverse abdominis, which basically means it flexes and becomes shorter in length. And yeah, that is the transverse abdominis.
Today I'll be teaching about the origin, insertion, private movements, and target exercises for the internal and external obliques. The external oblique, the origin of it is at the lower part of your 7 ribs, so the anterolateral part. The insertion of the external oblique is at the iliac crest, or the top part of your hip right here. The private movements for this muscle is when you side bend the torso. Whichever way you side bend, the external oblique is contracting, and vice versa for left. Some target exercises for this muscle are bicycle crunches, renegade rows, and plank. And today I'll be showing you the renegade row. With the renegade row, you want to have 2 dumbbells that you can safely lift, and you will spread them out about shoulder width apart. And then when you get down, you want to use them as support. And then you want to spread out your feet, also if you need them for support. And what you'll be doing, you'll be pushing one side to the ground while rowing the other up. This will be contracting the external oblique to whichever side you row. I'll be teaching you about the internal oblique now. The internal oblique origin is at the iliac crest, or top part of your hip. The insertion is at the ribs 10 to 12, or up here. And the private movement for this is the rotation of the trunk and flexion of the trunk. One prime target exercise for this is the renegade row. That's what I'll be showing you. You want your kettlebells shoulder width apart on the ground, and you want to have, when you're on the ground, you want to use them for support. Your feet should be spread out so you have more support when you do the actual row. And what you want to do, you want to push one kettlebell to the ground as you row the other, so you're contracting the internal oblique, and vice versa. That should be good.
You gotta talk about what it does.
What?
You have to talk about why you're doing the renegade row, how the muscle is being used.
Didn't I do that at the start of the?
No.
Because you're contracting it. That's what I said.
You didn't say it
Just
while
keep
you were
it
doing
filming.
it. Yeah, it's still filming. You just start just while you're doing the renegade row, you gotta like explain how the muscles are being used.
So as you push one kettlebell to the ground and row the other, the internal oblique is rotating and contracting. So whenever you row the kettlebell, the internal oblique is contracting to whichever side you row the kettlebell, and vice versa.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to be talking about the rectus abdominis, which is, unlike the transverse abdominis, which is the deepest muscle of all the four, the rectus abdominis is the outermost muscle of all the four core muscles and is also known as your abs or your six-pack. The origin of the rectus abdominis is your pubic crest in the pelvis, and the insertion of the rectus abdominis is the xiphoid process of your sternum. The muscle is responsible for flexing and rotating the spine, or the trunk of your spine, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Transverse abdominis when target exercises. I'm just going to be showing you the plank, which helps with the muscular endurance of this muscle. So, you're just going to get a normal plank position, and this is a very basic abdominal exercise, target exercise. And while you're doing the plank, you want to keep your butt low. And there's other ways you can push a plank or just a normal one on the elbows. And what this does is it isometrically contracts the rectus abdominis, which basically means it stays the same length and doesn't move basically, and it just stays there flexing, and it isometrically contracts. And this is one exercise that is very common to train the rectus abdominis.